Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another video for you. If you watched my big gold guide series, you may remember that I talked about future-proofing your garrison for when the Legion expansion releases. What I mean by that is that some buildings that are profitable now may not be when the expansion finally hits. For example, armor and weapons from blacksmithing can be pretty lucrative at the moment while everybody's leveling through Draenor content and they're trying to gear up for LFR and such. But when the expansion hits, these items will most likely see a dip in price since they're no longer max level items. In this video, I'll share what I think will be the most profitable garrison setup for Legion and maybe even future expansions. I'll be going over only the small buildings, and I'll talk about professions too since they're closely tied to these buildings. Just as a disclaimer though, this is all basically theory crafting and conjecture. At the end of the day, it's up to Blizzard on what's going to happen to all of these buildings. I thought it just might make for an interesting video since some of you out there might be preparing for Legion as well. For my big gold guide series, you may already know my setup for most of my characters, and that's the tailoring emporium, the gem boutique, and the salvage yard for the small buildings, with jewel crafting and tailoring as my two primary professions to go along with those. For Legion, since most of these characters will stay at level 100 for quite a while, I'll be dropping jewel crafting for Alchemy, and I'll be switching the salvage yard for the Alchemy lab. So my setup for small buildings will be the tailoring emporium, the Alchemy lab, and the gem boutique, and my professions will be tailoring and alchemy. I'll go over these professions and buildings one by one to give you an idea of why I'm doing this. I think tailoring along with the tailoring emporium will stay lucrative in Legion as long as you're spending all of your hexweave cloth on the 30 slot hexweave bags. Bags in general are pretty safe when new expansions release because everybody needs them. They're not limited by level or anything like that. In fact, I think they may actually raise in price when Legion comes out due to the fact that a lot of people will finally leave their garrisons and therefore they'll stop producing these bags. A lot of people will also be making demon hunters at first as well, so these bags should sell really well as a result of that. This is going to be server dependent, but these bags have been selling for around 1,000 gold each for quite a while on my server, so they've been pretty stable. As for alchemy, I explained this in more detail in my Alchemy Lab gold guide, but you can use the alchemical catalyst to make something called the Draenic Philosopher's Stone. These vendor for around 25 gold each, and you can make several of them in one day, assuming you're always doing your daily craft and your work orders. I'll have an annotation right here and a link in the description, but in the video I went over the math and it turns out that you can earn around 300 gold in total daily per character. This is all guaranteed vendor gold, and it's something that won't be affected by Legion when it releases, so that's why I think it isn't a bad choice unless Blizzard just decides to straight up nerf the vendor price of these Philosopher's Stones for some reason. For my last building, I'll have the Gem Boutique. You may be wondering why I would want the jewel crafting building without the jewel crafting as a profession. Actually, it's only for the daily quest that you get from having a follower assigned to it. Once you have a follower assigned to this building, you'll get a daily quest where you either hand an ore or you make some gems or jewelry, and you'll get back a bag that typically has around 150 to 300 gold in it. It turns out you don't actually need jewel crafting to make any of the gems or jewelry. If you talk to the trainer inside of your boutique, you can ask him to make everything as long as you have the materials, so you can still complete the quest without needing the jewel crafting as a profession. Once again, unless Blizzard decides to just straight up nerf it, this is another building that won't be affected by the release of the Legion expansion. So I think this is a pretty good mix. The hexweave bags from the tailoring emporium are more reliant on the auction house, while the jewel crafting building in the alchemy lab give you a more guaranteed source of gold. I think it's important not to put all of your eggs into one basket, so to speak, so it's good to not rely solely on the auction house or solely on vendor prices or whatever. The materials needed to maintain these buildings may raise in price once the expansion hits, but they're all stuff that you can get from your garrison anyways. Alchemy needs frostweed, which you can get from your herb garden. Jewel crafting needs blackrock and true iron ore, which you can get from your mines, and tailoring needs sumptuous fur, which you can get from the trading post by spending your excess garrison resources. So everything is self-sustainable as long as you're willing to put in the effort. But I guess that's all I have to say for now. If anything changes, I'll make a follow-up video to this one to let everyone know. But regardless, I hope you found this video helpful. Give it a like if you liked it, and if you really liked it, let me know in the comments and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, good luck, and peace!